Yeah, I gotta keep it trendy on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots around my neck.
All right, we're live. Welcome back to Mezcla Moments. It's your boy, the one with the scar in space, your boy Scarface. And today we got a special episode. I've been wanting to do this for a minute just because I know he went through a little situation that we'll get into it. But the biggest reason I wanted to bring you on is because a lot of people think that it's just the girls that go through it. You know what I mean? And they don't realize that there's some guys who go through some things. We just stay a little bit more quiet, but I'll ask you questions based off of that. But we have Rod from Alta Red. I've been on his podcast a couple times already. You know, it's mainly Spanish like episodes. I know there's some people on there who go on there and
go
speak
off in English, and we have to correct them.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to do a couple episodes in Spanish too, because there's this girl that follows, and she's like, "Why don't you do some of these like in Spanish?" And I'm just like, "Well, that's not." The majority of my listeners are. They know already that I do it in English, and they're like, "Oh, you should do some in Spanish." So I was like, maybe I'll get a couple guests that speak mainly Spanish. That way I can have them talk most of the time. Yeah. But she's like, I would love to do it. And so those are going to come here in the future.
So that's guest number one.
Guest number one. No, in Spanish, yeah. In Spanish, just because her first language is Spanish. So it's going to be a lot easier for her. Obviously, we learned Spanish first, but then we start talking English more.
Yeah, I just had that conversation yesterday. I'm like, I guess English is technically my second language, but
which is like, crazy.
But it's like at the same time,
it kind of flips. Like when you get older, because as soon as you get into elementary, everybody's speaking to you in English, and you start learning all these English words and stuff like that. So, but if you guys haven't checked out his podcast, I'll link it down below in the description. Everything's going to be there. He just said that he recorded his season finale. There's, what would you say that your podcast is kind of about?
Just play straight entertainment. We try to be entertaining. It's funny. It's informative. We have people with it. Business owners come on. We have our like main crew that comes on just to bullshit, and it's just a good time, I think.
Nice. I mean, definitely check it out. He's always posting clips and stuff like that too. So
yeah, I try to do the daily clips.
That way I think the clips are important so people can get an idea of what your podcast is about.
At first, I was only doing maybe 2 or 3 clips off of each episode, but then I see a lot of people are like, "Oh, I really just watch the clips." I'm like, well, might as well just do a daily clip. I'm like, si van a ver el episodio completo, great, but if not, at least you're getting a good something daily.
What helped me a lot was posting them on TikTok, bro.
Yeah, that's where I post them. I post them there, then I post them everywhere else.
They took the podcast to a whole different level, which is crazy. Yeah. You know, because the podcast was doing good, but then as soon as obviously the TikTok started doing well, and then I started posting clips and be like, where can I hear the rest of this?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, links in the bio, and I just saw the numbers go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I mean, that's why I like to do clips and stuff like that. But
I haven't been here since before you did video.
Because I stopped doing.
I had to kind of get ready. Last time I was on, you still weren't doing videos. So yeah, remember I used to come in my underwear and stuff.
Well, the thing is, video is hard because
it's a lot more work.
Exactly. I have this camera set up, and then I have lights. That way we can see Rod's beautiful face, and then we have audio set up. You know, and then you have to make it at least somewhat aesthetic.
Have some cool shit.
You know, and then so I wanted to go with a little bit of Halloween vibes. You know what I mean? So that way Halloween is coming up. So, but I wanted to get into Rod's story. But anyways, if you guys want to definitely check him out, link is going to be in the description.
Oh, since we're talking about this already, let me tell you, I actually started an English podcast.
Did you start an English one?
Yeah, but I haven't started posting stuff yet. But I just remembered right now when you said video is a lot harder. Because the English, when I'm not doing video, I'm like, Alta Red, that's my baby. That's one we're focusing a lot of work on.
Is there a reason why you're doing English?
Because everybody's been asking for English since I started the Spanish one.
Makes sense.
And a lot of people that I want to talk to that know Spanish. And I'm like, this one's going to be mostly for fun. For me, I'm not going to try to make it huge. So watch it blow up. But I'm not going to do any video for it. It's just audio.
Yeah, because people don't understand.
And audio is just easy.
I get messages all the time about how to start a podcast, what to do,
same.
I would just talk to a girl. I'm not gonna put her on blast because just in case she doesn't do the podcast,
blast her.
She asked me how to start a podcast, and I was like, just use your phone to begin with. Set up if you don't have cameras, I was like, take what you got right now. If you have a PC, use that. If you have if you don't have cameras, invest into some microphones. If you have a good iPhone, like whichever, I don't even know where I left my phones. If you have good iPhones, use your iPhone. Just as the biggest thing in a podcast is audio quality.
Yeah.
And like I was getting on him like right before, I was like, hey, mate, obviously you don't have to tell Rod because he does his stuff and he knows that you got to talk into the microphones. But there's some guests who
Do the thing.
they'll be over here. Or like they'll like
They'll
talk
start
over
leaning
here,
back, yeah.
and the mic, they're not even talking into the microphone. But like someone like Rod and myself, we know that we're trying to get the audio, so we like.
And I try to step back when I'm not because I sound like a heavy breather. So you'll be talking, you hear me over here like.
Yeah, we don't want that. They're gonna be like, this. All we heard was him breathing the whole time. So, but I wanted to get into the story. Like, yes, if you go on his podcast, he's always joking around. He's always having a good time. It's very rare that you see Rod not joking around, not like just messing around. You know what I mean? Like shooting shit.
Yeah, I can get serious, but usually it ends with a joke.
Yeah, and so, but I know he went through something which I didn't even know he was going through just because he kept it so well. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you don't want to share some stuff, I don't know if it was like, it can be like either embarrassing or you just feel like, you feel some sort of way like talking about the things. You know what I mean? Because you're going to think, for example, like when I was like taking a bunch of pain pills and stuff like that, if you like, I know you listened to that episode, and like I was taking a bunch of pain pills and I just didn't really want to talk about it because I was like, people are going to think this dude's like a drug addict or something
straight
like
up pill popping junkie.
But it's like things that you're going through and then you realize it's like helping you kind of, you know what I mean? But it wasn't. But he recently went through a divorce, you know.
That's right, yeah.
We actually talked about doing this podcast episode a while back ago, but he's like, let me wait until the divorce is finalized before we actually talk about it. That way she doesn't try to use anything we talk about against her, you know, because that's how some people, I could be like, well, hopefully she doesn't listen to this and yell at. I'm pretty sure she's going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I had an episode with, what's her name? Yesenia.
With Yesenia,
and I told her the same thing. I was like, hey, hopefully he doesn't give you a bunch of shit. And she's like, no, I'll be fine.
Homie retaliated.
Yeah,
he was retaliating on me. She came on my show, and the focus on our show wasn't even her relationship problems, but she did speak about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, my show, we were pretty much just BSing, and that kind of came up, and she talked about it a tiny bit. He was tagging me on his videos and shit, and I'm like, man, come on the show.
Yeah, like come on the show. If you want to talk about it, cool. If you don't want to talk about it, then that's fine. But I think the biggest thing, like because he's saying it's a whole different thing, she's saying it's a different thing. Come tell your story, and then like we'll kind of base our judgment. Like the audience is gonna base their judgment out however they want
On what they hear.
On what they hear. Yeah. I'm not gonna be like, oh, just because I know her, everything is true. Just because I don't know him, nothing is true. Yeah. You know, because I don't know what's happening, especially like behind closed doors, like yourself. You never know what's going on. So that's why I always try to like come on, like chat. But I also let all the guests know like beforehand. I was like, before I didn't think people were gonna listen to it, but now ever since like the TikTok's been doing well, like just the numbers are they're crazy. Like I still don't believe them. I look at them and I'm like, wow, like it's just me. Like why are you like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy that you wanna people tune in every week just to listen to me. So that's why I'm just like, she's gonna hear it. She's gonna see a clip. She's gonna go listen to the full thing.
Because you're not even thinking that they might hear it. Someone might hear it. It's like, yeah, they're gonna hear
and then all of a sudden, boom, hey, look what I just saw. Look what he's talking about. But well, let's get into it. You know, just so because again, I want to talk about like guys also go through like situations like this. So how long were you married for to begin with?
Married. We were only married for a year, but we were together for 9. Close to 9. Just
together for 9. Like 9 years. Yeah. And so
like 2 months shy of 9, but officially like legally married only 1 year.
Mm-hmm. And was everything great in the beginning?
Like, everything was great in the first month.
Of marriage or like relationship?
Of being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Jeez. And then it just went downhill from there?
Yeah, honestly, you know, she started showing her real face, and I don't know why I just kept keeping on, you know, like.
And it's funny because I talk about this on the TikToks and stuff like that. I mean, you suits just know. I always say like you have to wait because this goes both ways, guys and girls. There's guys who will put on a front and make it seem like, oh, I'm the greatest guy ever. But then like a few months later, they're like, I don't even recognize this guy anymore. Yeah. And same things happen with girls. Like I've talked to girls who were like, oh, great. And they're like, oh yeah, I really like a while back ago when I was trying to talk to this girl, she was like, yeah, I like what you do, like stuff like that. And like, I don't get jealous. until she jumped into one of my lives, and then she was just like,
She got all jealous.
oh, she got all upset the way I was talking. But that was just people who jump on the live know I like to have fun, you know, like, and I just shoot the shit. So
and you're honest, and you're
and
that's
like,
the thing. That's the thing with me too. It's like you go on my show. It's like you're gonna find out a lot about stuff about me that isn't favorable because I'll go on and tell. I'm not embarrassed to tell these embarrassing stories.
Yeah,
I think they're great.
You get used to it, and you realize that it's helping other people.
Yeah.
You know, the coolest thing that I get is like people sharing with me, like, hey, I love that you did this. I love that you talk about this because it helped. Or it helped me open my eyes. And because right now I'm hoping that other guys listen to this that are also going through like a similar situation and know it's like, you're not the only one, you know? Because I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of guys feel like or a lot of people, not just guys, feel like they're the only ones going through a situation. So they're just like, I don't talk about it because I'm the only one. It's going to be embarrassing to talk about.
Out. Yeah, for sure.
So obviously it was very rocky from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of jealousy, a lot of trying to make me jealous, which failed time and time again because I'm not a jealous person at all.
Did it? Because I know you used to play in different bands and stuff. I'm sure that didn't help because you're always out. Like
there was definitely trust issues with that. It wasn't really that big of a deal. I think when you come home after in the early morning hours, but you got a wad of 5 builds on you.
Yeah,
that seems to smooth over the issue.
Yeah, but I'm sure it gets to a point where, like, because all these girls are out there, depending if she's a jealous person, she's probably thinking that you're out there, like, I mean, he's been out there humping his guitar, you know what I mean? So, like, she's probably like, why are you humping your guitar?
Yeah,
like,
I don't think she was too impressed with any of that stuff. But
it's putting on a show. It's entertaining people. Because when I saw you perform and stuff like that, I thought it was, like, badass that you're, like, getting into it. Because you see a lot of the band people.
Lot of that,
they're just sitting there playing, you know, just playing and playing. Like, it feels like they're there, obviously, just for a gig.
Yeah.
And then you're up there just having a good time, like
enjoying it.
Like they in Spanish they're like el ambiente, like. And if you guys would be boring, then no one's gonna want to like come and see you guys. But like you guys were, for the most part, like it doesn't matter what band you played in, like you're always like.
I always try to put on a show.
Yeah.
And I always joke, I'm like, I'm not that good of a bass player, so I had to move around. I had to make it elsewhere. But no, I mean, honestly, it was a bit of an issue, but not, I guess maybe compared to everything else. I mean, it was one of those things where every person I talked to, every friend I had, it's a girl, and you know me, like most of my friends are girls. And I tell like any girlfriend I've had, I've always told them that right off the bat. I'm like, hey, if you're super jealous, let me just tell you, it's not going to work out because... most of my friends are girls. But I think it was mostly there was those trust issues. There were those trust issues in the beginning. When we first started dating, I was playing with Nobles de la Sierra. And I mean, in that band, she didn't really show a lot of jealousy. But then a few years later, when I started playing with Adictos for a while again, and that was when we were living together, we had our kid. That's when she felt like... that's when she had more and more trust issues. Like I was out and doing this or that. And I'm like, you've been with me on gigs. Like, it's mostly work. Like it's, but like I said, the next morning, I'd pop out my 5 bills. I'd give her, 2 and I'd keep 3 or give her 3 and keep 2 kind of depending on how much I actually needed. Man, that seemed to smooth things over. She'd kind of shut up about it, But I mean, just from the get-go, she would get angry about any little thing and immediately try to make me jealous in the very beginning. I mean, I'm talking when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend. She starts saying, she would start texting her ex-boyfriend and stuff. And I was like, well, okay. But like I said, it never really made me jealous because I'm not that person. I was like, okay, I'll talk to him then. Yeah. Go with him. I lived for 25, 26 years without you. I'm pretty sure I'll be fine the next 25 without you. But from there, it became a back and forth. I mean, I'm not a saint either. Yeah. So the entire time, it was her saying she was talking to so-and-so because she hates my guts. So then I'd go, so I had no guilt talking to other people online or even in person. And so it went back and forth like that for years. She'd say this. And then her thing was always like, well, I just said it to make you jealous. I was like, well, I just did it because
you were doing it.
I didn't really feel like, I wasn't breaking any boundaries because you're telling me you're doing stuff. So whatever. But I mean,
what do you think made you stay?
I'm not sure what it was.
Because I'm sure you won't deal with that now.
I'm not for an instance, but I always want to say that it was because of our daughter, but I had a whole year before our daughter because it was quick. We didn't really get to know each other. I met her November of whatever year it was. January, we were a couple, like official. And a year later, we had a kid. So
yeah, because that's my biggest question is like, I mean, obviously, like I've been through some shit too, and now looking back, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I should have just like left.
That's how I feel, especially during that first part. Because once my daughter was born, it was like that was the reason. It wasn't so much because like I said, I tell everybody all my embarrassing stuff anyway. So it's like I wasn't embarrassed of the stuff that was going on in my house. I just didn't want it to fall apart for our daughter.
Yeah, because a lot of people that talk about like on these TikTok, they don't want to separate. They're like, yeah, it's hard when you have kids.
Yeah.
But you even told me that your daughter said that you guys need to separate.
That was the last straw. I mean, for sure, there was numerous times when she would get violent, when my ex-wife would get violent with me, and it would happen in front of our daughter, and once things started like blowing over, I'd be able to spend time with my daughter, and I would ask her, I would say, do you think we should just split up? And she would always say, no, I don't want you guys to get divorced. Now, that last time that it happened, when I finally made the decision to walk, what happened there, this was last November, my daughter was in the hospital with RSV, and she caught pneumonia. They had to drain her lungs. We were in the hospital for about 7 days. Now, one night in the hospital, my ex-wife starts complaining, asking me how I'm going to pay all the hospital bills, and you're going to need to get another job, and starts going off on me about that. I didn't think it was the time for that discussion. My daughter gets up, she needed help to go to the restroom, so I was helping her in the restroom. While she's on the toilet, and my ex-wife starts hitting me, starts slapping me and hit me in the back. And so my daughter's sitting on the toilet asking her to stop, yelling at her to stop. And so she kind of calms down. I take my daughter back, put her back in the bed, tuck her in. We're sitting there. My ex-wife's about to leave for the night. She tells me to give her my glasses. She's like, I paid for those glasses, so give them to me. They're mine. They're not. You didn't even pay for them. I said, you only paid for them because you broke my previous pair. I'm like, and then you paid for these. And so she lunges at my face, breaks the glasses on my face, scratches up my lip, and my daughter starts hitting the nurse button. The nurse walks in to find, what happened. She asks my ex-wife to leave. She starts getting really up in her face about, no, I'm not leaving. It's none of your business. And, yelling at the nurse. The nurse says, no, it is my business because look at your child's heart rate right now. It's through the roof. She doesn't need to see any of this. You just need to go home. If you can either go home or I can call security. So she left. And then after that, it's just me and my daughter in the hospital room, and I hugging her, and we're both crying, and I didn't even ask her this time, but she said, ahora sí divorciense, ahora sí hagan divorce, papi. Ya no quiero que te pegue. I don't want you to hit you. I don't want her to hit you anymore. And so that's when I decided, I'm like, yeah, that's it. This was too far, too much too far. And it's not the first time she's lunged at me. I actually have a witness this time.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. And people don't realize that kids pick up on that. Even if they're not in the same room, they can pick up on you guys like are fighting, not happy. So I always say, like, if you guys, they know when it's not a happy home.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why not just like separate, see dad happy, see mom happy, and they're gonna grow up better. But if they see mom upset, dad upset, constantly bickering, fighting, yeah, even though you think it's not in front of them, like I've only seen my parents argue in front of us probably like twice.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, they're always they have their issues and stuff like that. You can tell they're like upset with each other.
But it's not like a.
But like one time, it was only 2 times I've ever seen my parents yell at each other. Like I am 35 years old now. 2 times I've ever seen my parents yell at each other. If they've done it outside of that, I didn't see it.
It's like, and they probably did. Maybe they just kept it together good.
Or they probably obviously like happy together. Because if they're together for the longest time, they've been together since like they've been like 18, 19 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad's what, like 60? Like my mom's close. So they've been together forever. They're old school. But you know what I mean? Like I've never grown up and being like, my parents are always fighting. My parents always, like that one time they did yell at each other. I was like super scared. I was like, hopefully they don't.
Freak you out. You're like, this is the end.
Yeah, I was like, I hope they don't separate. But that was only 2 times I've ever seen them yell at each other.
Yeah.
And, but like for the most part, it's been good. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean. Like we pay attention to those things. Like I still remember those 2 times they argued with each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
imagine like first like it's arguing, and then eventually she sees her hit you and
She
stuff
saw
like
a
that.
lot of the physical stuff before.
And they remember that. They're not. It's funny how some people think that their kids. They're like, oh, my kid is so smart, but then yet like you feel like they're stupid and they're not gonna know what's going on. No, like they pick on like Milo. He picked up ya bitch, and like you know what I mean. Like they pick up on everything. They see everything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like kind of like he imitates like he's on the phone and stuff like that because he always sees like people on the phone. So I mean, I want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When was the first time she actually hit you, bro?
I honestly don't remember. I think it might have been.
Were you shocked by it? Like you're like, what the hell happened? Like,
Yeah, the fact that she lunged at me was like, when you're and thinking maybe it was when Eileen was like very much newborn. I think there was
And
a
that's your
time around
oldest right
Easter
now?
time. Yes, my oldest child. But
were you thrown back by it? Were you like, what the hell happened? Like, did you retaliate? I don't know if you want to talk about.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's why recently we're kind of back I'm living back in my old neighborhood now, and so when I have my daughters with me, they've gotten to know a lot more people in my circle, and I've gotten to hear a lot of stories of when I was growing up and stuff lately. And so my daughter asked me not like a while back, she says, so I mean, the way you are and the way you grew up, I mean, you know how to like fight and stuff. Like, how did you hold it together? Why did you never hit my mom when she was hitting you? And I was like, because I'm not stupid. I was like, it's not like I can't beat the living shit out of her. I can. Like, but I'd be in jail right now. I would never even get to see you anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, and that's the first thing you think of. It's like, there was one time that she lunged at me and she was hitting me and I grabbed her by the wrist just so she wouldn't strike. And the next day she showed me she had bruises on her wrist. I thought that was the end. I was like, shit, she's going to go say that I'm the abuser.
You were holding her down.
Yeah,
and
because I bruised her up, but it was me holding her wrists. And but I think it was that time when my oldest was a couple months old. And you don't know what the hell to think. You don't know what happened. You're like, okay, was that a one-time thing? But once it happened once, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, that just kind of opens the gates.
She's like, I got away with it once.
Yeah,
and
and
get away with it again.
that's why, like I always say, like even with guys, I mean, did you ever, besides holding her wrist, was there?
No, I mean, I was always too scared of the consequences.
And I get the same way, like meaning like when some of these sucias like want me to do something, like when you're being intimate with them,
yeah.
the whole like, I think that they're plotting against me.
Yeah,
they want me to hit them because they want to be like, he hit me. I want to take him to court.
They're like, put your fingerprints on this gun.
Yeah,
and you're like, maybe that's
and so I get scared. I'm like, is she plotting against me? Is she trying to set me up?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it sucks when. So I've never hit a girl. I've never gotten close to hitting a girl. I remember when I was with my ex. Yeah, we did yell at each other a few times. But the most I ever did was I punched a lamp. I punched a fridge. Like I always hit other stuff. I never in my life was like, I'm gonna hit her. Just because like
punch it like into her though?
No, never.
Like in wrestling where they throw the chair and then they kick the chair out.
It's like, that doesn't count. I didn't hit you. Because I remember one time in this girl that I was kind of talking to in high school, we were messing around, like kind of like wrestling, trying to like put snow in each other's face.
Oh, that's cute.
And then like I pushed her kind of because like she was like had like a handful of snow, and I kind of like pushed her like kind of get away, and she slipped like on some ice and hit like a pile of ice. And I felt like I was like, this is it. Like, she's going to take me to jail. Like, this is it. Like, because I was brought up, like, you never hit a girl. Like, you don't hit them, like, at all. So it sucks for you, like, her hitting you. All you can do is try to defend yourself. It's not like you can hit back.
Yeah. And the closest thing I thought of doing, which I also didn't do because of the fear of getting the retaliation or the consequences, was like, throw her off of you. Mm-hmm. You know how to shove a motherfucker. Just when she's on you, just throw her as hard as you can. She'll fall on the ground. But I'm like, that's going to seem like it's like I'm the aggressor, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it's just to get her off of me. So you know what the hell to do. You know?
Yeah. And I'm, props to you for being able to, because I remember, this is when I know I don't like to get slapped, right? Because I remember my ex slapped me because she thought it was like, because she wanted to try new things in bed, right? And she was like, "Do you want me to hit you?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I don't think so." You know what I mean? Like, I've never been hit like that. And like, she smacked me hard, and it didn't turn me on. It pissed me off. It pissed me off to the point where like I wanted to say something, like be like, "Why the fuck did you hit me?" or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, like we were hooking up, so she would just see. I was like, "I don't like it. Nope, don't hit me."
Yeah.
Like, don't hit
That's
me.
enough of that.
Yeah, that's enough. Like, we tried it. We figured out that I didn't like it because that feeling, that adrenaline, like I just got mad. I was like I wanted like to get mad, but at the same time, I was like, nope. She's just trying to see if you're like trying to work it out. Because I've also, you know, props to the guys that don't hit back. You know, but at one point, like, when is it okay to defend yourself? Like, what if, I understand pushing them off, like trying to get, but if they're like coming and like, what do you do? Like, you just take the ass whooping? Because 2 times I've seen guys getting their ass whooped. One time I was driving and the girl was just like beating the shit out of him, and he's just like this.
That's dangerous for everybody.
Like in the car, I was like, do I like
dangerous for
do I
you
like pull
driving
over?
next to him, yeah.
Yeah, because I was driving next to him and I looked over and I just see her going like that, like hitting the shit out of her or him. And I'm like, do I like pull over and like do I try to stop him? Like, what do I do? Like, and then the second time, I actually had to go to court for this one. My ex and I, we were having a yard sale, right? And so it was towards the end of it. Everything was wrapping up. Like, we were like trying to like put stuff away. And then it was do you remember there was the church in front of my old house? So some cars just pulled up. You know, I'm thinking cars pull up there all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, you just see like some movements, like the car's moving like crazy. And she's like, I think she's hitting him. I'm like, really? That's not the first thing you're gonna think, you know, like that the dude's beating or the girl's like beating the shit out of him.
Just in broad daylight.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then, well, at first I thought it was the girl beating the shit out of him, but it ended up being the guy was beating the shit out of her. And so that's when she's like, oh my God, like she's getting her ass whooped. So like I ran over there and like I just grabbed him and like pulled him off. I'm like, what the fuck? And then like she was just like going crazy, save me, like all this other stuff. At the same time, my ex was calling the cops. And then finally, like he just took off on foot, and then she left. And then the day of the court, bro, she dropped all the charges. She's like, oh no, it's fine. And then I think they got back together. Like,
I've heard that. I mean, I have friends in that situation, you know, friends that are girls that, you know, they'll call you crying when it happens, and
but they don't leave.
And you do the best to help them out, and then they're really, you know, they want that help, and you try to do the best to help them. A few weeks later, they're back together. You're like, man, I'm wasting my time trying to help you out.
Did you ever talk to anybody like about what was going on? Like your mom or
nobody knew. I mean, you know where I work. I work where you used to work, so that, you know, that accounted for the scratches on my arms or my face. Like, it's just the wood. I got hit by a nail, which does happen, and sometimes you get these scratches, but not as often as it was.
You would never bat it and be like, oh no, he's getting beat at home.
Yeah,
you know, like you'd be like, oh okay,
this fucking board went back and slapped me in the face, which happens sometimes, but.
Yeah, like I've came home with scratches and shit. Like I'm like, oh, what the fuck? When did I cut
we were just
myself?
talking about that, and I have a big old scar right here right now that's been there for about a year. I have stuff all, and it doesn't hurt at work, but you jump in the shower and that hot water hits it, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're like, when the fuck did I get cut?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, I would have never been like, oh, like damn, you're getting your ass whooped at home or what? Because of where you worked at too. So did you ever feel like talking to somebody?
No, I felt like I needed to find a solution, but I never felt like someone else could solve it.
Would you think the solution was?
Leaving. I always wanted to leave, but I didn't want to leave because I figured I don't have any actual proof. And that's gonna mean I'm not gonna see my kid as much as they're not gonna give me custody just based on me being a man. And but that's why I said, you know, the time I finally had a witness. It was documented with the hospital security and also on the medical record what happened. So I'm like, I have proof. I don't have proof of all these other times, but they got to believe that there's been more than that. It's not the first time something like this happens. But
Yeah, because you got another daughter too with her, right?
yeah, she's I don't talk to about her as much when I talk about the story, not because of anything. Obviously, I love her more than anything as well, but she's about to turn 2 years old, so she's only, she didn't get as much of this.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell my oldest daughter. I say, everyone in the court system everywhere would say, it's going to be really hard for the little one to adjust. It's really tough on the baby.
But she's
And
still,
I said to my oldest, I'm like, I think it's tougher on you because you lived with both of us for 7 years. The little one, like, she doesn't even remember the first year of her life right now. To her, the only thing she knows as normal is time with mom, time with dad.
yeah, because I don't,
Like, to her, it's normal. She's adjusted. She's fine by now.
yeah, so she'll be fine. If you actually think about it, like at what age do you think your earliest memories are? Like, I remember, like, vaguely, like, going to, where, was it called, like, Mart? Not, it was like a grocery
It
store.
was before Winco. That's what Winco was before.
Like, I remember my dad, like, picking me up, right? Because I was, like, complaining about something, and, like, he picking me up, and I was probably at that age when they had that store, I was probably like 4, bro, like 3 or 4. But you know what I mean? Like, that's when you start, because I vaguely remember some things in like pre-kindergarten.
You still remember stuff? We had this conversation on the show the other night, actually, because a lot of people don't remember. And I'm like, I remember like vividly.
Like
from,
little
like,
things, right?
The first was like when my mom was pregnant with my little brother. So I was like 3 years old. And I'm like, I remember a lot of that time. I remember the stuff we were doing.
Yeah, because like you have a conversation with somebody and then like they remember different things than you. And like the other day I was talking to my cousin, like it was on my dad's birthday, 4th of July. They came because it was my dad had just turned 60 and so they came. Excuse me. And then he's like, hey, do you remember this and this? And I was like, oh yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just
comes
like,
back.
yeah, I'm like, I do remember that. Like, holy shit. Like, and it's funny how like our brain is like so crazy that stores all this. I'm sure there's memories in there that are there.
Yeah.
It just like,
I hadn't heard the name Weremart in forever. As soon as you said it, I pictured the story. It was very brown. I remember the carts.
It was over
like
there on Yellowstone.
Yeah,
like,
and I picture the carts with they were higher. They were the slower ones, but they were high.
And then they had those old school like middle freezer things.
Yeah,
remember?
I do remember.
And so like I remember like my earliest would probably be that store because I do remember I was complaining about something, and you get to an age where your parents don't pick you up anymore, like actually like hold you.
Yeah.
But I was complaining about something, and then my dad picked me up, and I was just like all upset, And so I remember like being held, and so that's why I'm like, I'm sure she's gonna be fine if she's 2 years old. But they start learning, they start like picking up on things. Milo's 3. And he's like picking up on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so she's 2, so she should be okay. You know what I mean? Like she's not gonna remember.
She'll be a lot more well adjusted without the help. I think my oldest daughter will be fine, but she is probably gonna need, and I need to look into getting her some counseling and stuff like that because
I think that would be the best because you know how Hispanics are. We don't need counseling. We don't need therapy. But when she gets older and or even like gets to high school where she's like thinking about all this other stuff, like. We both been through high school. Like we know how our thoughts were. At some points, yeah, you are happy, but then at some points, you like. I remember when like I had some friends who got in a fight, but they started blaming me.
Oh yeah,
that it was my fault for like
drama like that. Huh?
And then you start like feeling some type of way. You don't even want to go to school anymore, like to the point where you just like. And your parents don't understand. They're just go. You guys are just kids and stuff like that. But like your friends at school.
People tend to forget when they get older. It's like how school is and how the drama is with.
Yeah, and then like if they had like drama at home, and like having drama at school, that's
like,
when.
Where the hell do you go? Yeah.
Yeah, like so you actually thinking about going to therapy, like taking her to therapy, getting some sort of counseling. That way she's okay, because no one's gonna be 100% fine.
But she'll adjust well enough. She's also young enough that she will adjust well enough. But she's also old enough to see the reason why things happened and the fact that it is better off this way.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm glad you guys separated. That way, like, you guys don't have to go through, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time that she attacked you when Aline was there?
Yes. It was Easter. And so Eileen was only maybe like 4 months old. And she was trying to take pictures of her with these Easter eggs. And I can't remember why she said something that upset me. And so I sat down on the couch. We were in the room. She's trying to get this picture of the baby. And I sit down. And, if people know me, I can get upset, and I'll be upset for about 4 minutes, and I'll be fine. But she's like, no, I'm sorry. And she's trying to be playful, but I can't even remember what it was. But if I was upset, I guarantee you it was something that was pretty fucked up. And she's like, no, come on, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. I'll just leave me alone for a little bit. And then so that made her mad. She's like, oh, you don't want to forgive me? And that's when she started hitting me. And I was sitting on the little couch we had, their little chair, the little armchair. And she lunged at me while I was sitting down. So I stand up to try to get her off of me. The baby starts crying. It's like you said. I mean, she's a couple months old. She picked up on that. How did she know we weren't yelling, but she could hear the smacking and the tumbling around, and she started crying like a very different cry than a regular baby cry.
Yeah.
A very anguished cry. And I remember that stuck with me. I'm like, wow, that's like a different cry from the baby. She knows something's not right over here. And that was the time. And from there on, I was like, okay, you're going to do this in front of the kid. And there was a point where I told her, if you're going to get all crazy, make sure she's not around. You said this before about them even if they're not watching it, there was a lot of times on the latter years where she would start getting all upset and she'd be like, she'd wait for Eileen to go into her room, but immediately she'd come out and be like, I remember she'd say, that's suspicious. You guys are fighting, huh? Like, no, we're not fighting. No, si están peleando, yo sé. And so they know.
Yeah, they can pick up on the vibes.
But that was the first time she lunged at me. She got physically aggressive with the child in the room. She was only 4 months old, and she could pick it up. So
yeah, it's because they pick up. They can she may not remember that, but like she knew something was off. And then when things are off too. Like when have you ever been in a room when two couples or a couple has been fighting and it's just awkward.
The air feels
like you can and everything. Yeah, because that happened the other day, and I was like, well, this is awkward. Like I was like, well, I'm gonna go home because I'd rather.
This is off.
Yeah, this is off. I was like, you need to fix your situation because, I've been there too. Like when you had an argument with your girl, and then
so then you have to try to act normal in front of everybody else, but it makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But that's, and it ruins these moments because she did get some really cute shots of the baby with all these Easter eggs all around her and stuff. But every time I look at those pictures,
you remember what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. You remember what happened, and probably even sometimes you're like, only if she knew what happened that day. Yeah. It seems like a great photo,
but it's not.
Photos
are like that, man. I mean,
they bring up old memories and trigger old stuff.
When people started slowly but surely realizing that we had separated, early this year, that's immediately what they would say. Like, you guys always took like the cutest family pictures. You guys look so good. I was like, that's why. That's why. I'm like,
and a lot of people do that. They do that. They seem. I took some pictures. I've taken several pictures of like families, and a few of them never came out because they asked me not to post anything because it was more of they were just trying to do it to, maybe they thought it was going to fix the situation.
Yeah.
But then they end up separating. Like I did a wedding and the guy left, at the wedding.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like
that happened to us. The photographer messaged me. She's like, oh, I got that. Because she was going to include some giant ass print. I don't know how big it was. But she's like, I got that big print for you in the frame. Like, if you want to pick it up. And I said, you can ask her if she wants it. I was like, or you can just hang it up in your studio. And it really shows your talent because because we look really happy in that picture and we were not. So,
yeah.
And she was like, fuck, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, nope.
Did you think getting married was going to help?
No, the getting married thing was stupid because, did you know? Well, you know because you worked there for so long. I didn't know that at the place where we work, they give us they start paying for our health insurance after 5 years.
At CP?
No, at Challenger where I work now.
Oh.
And so I only had a year to go, and I got married with her because she wanted to hook me up with her health insurance at her job. So I did that. Had I known that my job was going to hook me up with health insurance a year later, I just would have waited the year.
I think they changed that because for the longest...
Was that a fairly new thing?
Yeah, because for the longest time, we didn't get, they kept changing it.
Yeah.
They kept changing the health insurances.
They do that every year, but just the fact that they pay for it.
Yeah, see,
I didn't know, maybe it is new because I'd never heard about it. A lot of stuff I'm like, okay, once I get to so much, I know I'm going to get such thing at work. And then one day I was just like a few days shy of turning 5 years there, and the HR guy came up. He's like, "Hey, I just saw you're about to hit the 5 year mark, so you're gonna get your health insurance paid by the company." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, see, that wasn't a thing.
And once he said that, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, "Why the fuck did I get married?"
Yeah, because I was there for a longer time and never got.
You never got the
no. Yeah. They never paid for shit. You know. But anyways, like so. You got married
for the health insurance.
Health insurance and los papeles, just in case you guys are wondering. So I have a question. Like, I know you can't really explain what's going on through her. You know what I mean? Because she's her whole own person, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for her to be like, oh, the reason he's like, you're like this is because of this. But what do you think that stems from? Like, do you think, did she have childhood trauma? Did she have like anything that
there was 2 times when I asked her to get some sort of help and that I was willing to be there for her and be there with her, and that would just freak her out. And she'd say, you know, ¿qué estás diciendo que estoy loca? Que quién sabe qué? I was like, well, I'm not saying that. I mean, that I don't have to say that. It's pretty apparent. But I do think you should get some help. And talking to her family and stuff, she was always a little hothead little child. She had really, I guess she would get so angry that she would just pinch her arm until she would bleed. It's stuff like this that her mother told me that I'm like, so this is like, I think there's some sort of chemical imbalance, some sort of mental thing. I'm not a professional at all, but
you start thinking about it.
But it's obviously like, it's not just me. Mm-hmm. And so obviously in her story, I'm going to be the bad guy, and I'm not going to say I'm not. Maybe I am. But you know what she could have done if I'm such a bad guy? She could have left. Instead of getting violent on me and trying to hold me down, and, you know, she could have just left. It would have been great for both of us.
Yeah, so like I always have that question, like, what do you think her stem from? Like, it could have been, you know, what if her parents were fighting?
Yeah.
That,
I don't think so, but I think
what if she got abused as a child?
Speaking a lot out of turn right now, but I think her mother was the same way with her father, the way that she was trying to be with me. Very controlling, very manipulative, very don't see her family stuff. I mean, I stepped very much far away from my family when I was with her, trying to appease her, and things still didn't go well. But I see a lot of that in her parents.
Yeah, see, and like, of course, like that's why I said, like, I prefaced it with, like, you can't really say what's their issue.
That's just what I think might be. Mm-hmm. There's no facts. I have nothing to back it up.
But you've been with this person for so long that you just like start observing, or you start asking questions, and then as long as you guys been together, you start learning things that happen to them, like if they've been through some sort of trauma or anything like that. So the person that's gonna know them best is you, not even the parents, bro. Like, you're with this person way more than the parents are with them, because they're with them when they're a kid. You get to see when they're a kid, but then
you don't know what they grew up into.
And then like you get to meet them when they're like teenager, adult, and then from there you get to like live through them while you're still trying to figure your shit out. You know what I mean? And so
I don't think anyone should get married till they're at least 30, man.
Bro, like, I don't even plan on getting married. So you Susia is listening. I always tell, I always tell them, I'm like,
I guess by married I mean modern day married, which is living together.
So I say I'm never gonna get married, but there could be someone that comes along and been like, damn, I need to lock this girl down because like she wants to get married, you know, and I don't want to.
Yeah. I was always that way too, and you know, people say like, well, what are you looking for in a potential wife or a girlfriend? And I'm like, I'm not looking. Just if it happens, it happens. But you know, you develop a taste for certain kind of women. I always say, like, like my type. If any girls out there watching this, son chaparras, viscas, fodongas, lonjudas.
Hit me up.
There's nothing better than that in this world.
But are you in that place? Because I know usually when people break up or separate, I know like probably the feelings went away a long time ago.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like I'm not necessarily. I'm the same way again. I'm not necessarily looking, but I'm also not against finding someone else that would vibe with me and something could happen. But I've had, you know, people think, you know, but you know, you need to take some time. You're probably not ready. But it's not like I was so in love until November of last year. It's like we were done with each other long time ago. So if she had a boyfriend right now, that's great. I understand that. You had a boyfriend before we split up too. So fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
because that's why I said like some people, when their relationship ends,
They need that time to.
they need that time, or those feelings, that relationship to them in their head ended a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so like now, that's why like some people like, how long should you wait until after you break up? Because I get this question. It's like it depends on the person, because like if you guys were so in love, like if you were so in love with her and then you found out she cheated and then that's what made you leave, it's gonna take you a while before you even decide to like talk to anybody. But if you guys were like obviously fighting and things like that, and then when you finally like, all right, we're getting divorced,
it's already been a couple of years. Yeah,
yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like when my dad died, and everybody was wondering why me and my brothers didn't go to the funeral. It's like he hasn't talked to us for 10 years. Like to us, he died. We mourned him 10 years before he stopped existing.
Yeah, seeing like.
So it's like we were like, yeah, like you guys didn't even cry. It's like, no, we didn't. We cried 10 years ago when he stopped talking to us.
Yeah, seeing like, and people don't know like things like that. So that's why like it's really hard. I wish there was like some sort of book to like talk about these things. Like me right now. So people ask how come I'm not in a relationship. I'm not. So this year I've been like open to talk to people, but I'm not in no hurry. Be like, I need to find the first girl that talks to me, the first girl that bats an eye at me. Yeah. Like I'm gonna go after her. You know. Me, I pay attention to a lot of little things like red flags and stuff like that. There was a chick that I was talking to, and she gave me some super shady vibes, right? Like I felt like one time she messaged me, and I really felt like that message was for somebody else. You know, like in your gut, you're like, I don't think that was for me. You know what I mean? I don't think that was for me, especially because we lived in two different states.
Oh, okay.
And so. Of course she's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I meant to send you that." Like I meant to send you that, but like in your head, I'm like, I don't know, I don't live there. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like it didn't make sense. And I told her straight up, I was like, "Hey, like you gave me some real shady vibes, and I don't like to feel like that. I don't want to feel like you're out doing shady stuff behind my back." I was like, "So we're done." And she's like, "Oh, so you're just gonna end it like that?" I was like, "Yeah."
It's like like if I have to ask you to explain something, it's probably not even worth it.
Yeah, like and I think that helps too, like being single for so long, and like you take a lot less BS.
Yeah.
So I had a question about the.
Oh, let me tell you about the red flags. You know what's worse than a red flag?
What's worse?
Green bubbles.
Green bubbles.
Green text bubbles.
Oh yeah, like if they don't have an iPhone. Yeah, I don't understand why people have those phones. Like I don't understand it. So I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit before. Just having to deal with the divorce process. You know what I mean? Like, was that stressful? Was that like, because I know she was trying to get custody of the kids
we both wanted full custody, and we were stuck on 50-50 custody for, the entire time from November until last month. And so that's what it was. I mean, we never had any property together. I mean, I was helping to pay her mortgage and stuff, but everything was under her name. Her car was hers. I have my car. There was a truck that we were both paying on, but it was all under her name. Stuff that I'm not a materialistic person. You can keep all that shit. What I want is my kids, my time with my kids. And if you were a better mother and you weren't a violent person, I'd be okay with just remaining 50-50 forever. But I don't really feel that they're safe with you. If you take some steps to improve, or like I don't know, anger management, something. Then let's start gradually working towards that 50-50. But that was my state of mind. I was like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with my kids being with her for as much time as they are with me. I want them to live with me. I'll be the provider. I don't want her to be giving me any child support or anything. And but it didn't work out that way, So,
which was crazy because you actually had documented incidents with her, and did they give her full custody?
They gave her it's not full custody, but during the school year, she gets them pretty much full custody. I only get to see them once a week for a couple hours on a Wednesday, and then every other weekend. Now during the summer, we'll go back to 50-50, and we each get to have them for 3 weeks in a row, like in case we want to go on vacation or something. But that felt like a huge loss to me. The day I was at work, I got word that we finally, because it was weird. The judge didn't give the order that day, which was weird enough. But he was like, you guys are lucky though. Something happened where my next case canceled, so I should get this pretty quick to you. So my attorney thought, this was on a Wednesday. He said, maybe by Monday. Probably by Monday we'll have a decision. A whole fucking month went by. Mm-hmm. That whole month I fucking had the shits, man. I was just anxiety ridden. I was the worst month of my life. And I finally get word while I'm at work. It was right after lunch, and it was those bad news. I couldn't stop crying. I just, just could not stop crying. I felt like I lost my kids, and because I did, and I just left. I didn't even tell anybody. I just finished the one stack I was doing, and I left. I was like, I can't be here, and so it's what it just felt like such a blow. We were going in very confident, like you have stuff on her. Everything she's saying about you is true or not. She doesn't really have proof for it, and it doesn't really affect the kids. Like she's saying, "Oh, you're a player." She's trying to get it to be changed for adultery. They said the only way to get adultery is if she has proof. Like she has to have physical proof, like picture or video of your penis going into somebody else's vagina. That's the exact thing they said. And so we're going in confident. She didn't have any of that proof. The judge still gave it to her on the grounds of adultery against me. And I'm like, she was at the hospital because she was with her boyfriend. I have documentation of that. Now she's saying, oh, well, I was just saying that to get jealous. I don't care what she was doing. The fact was she wasn't at the hospital with her kid. Now I have a lot of other instances where she said she was cheating. Okay, so it's like, it was the pot calling the kettle black, and they still give it to her.
Yeah.
And the judge in the ruling said the domestic violence did not affect the children. Everyone was shocked at that. Like my attorney, everybody on my side of that was like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how is that not a thing? My friend my best friend is a counselor. He said, well, didn't they ask your daughter any questions? I said, no, they said she was too young. He said, that's bullshit because I can counsel kids as young as like 3 years old, as long as they know how to talk. He's like, and I'm sure she's a lot more, she's a lot more mature for her age than she should be because of everything she's seen. She's like, I think it's bullshit that they didn't let anybody talk to her. And so, I mean, I didn't know what to do with myself for the, and so it's just been a lot of darkness since then. It's just, I lost my kids to someone who I have proof of that is violent. We thought worst case scenario was going to be, they're going to leave you on 50-50. My attorney said, if even worse than that, maybe they might, just because you live outside of Idaho Falls, they might say she gets more of the time during the school year, but then you're going to get them a lot more of the time during the summer. They're like, they'll work it out to where it's still 50-50. But no, none of that happened. They straight up gave him to her. And now they're fucking me over for child support. And on top of that, they're saying I never paid for childcare the 9 months we were already separated. Her mom watched them. I didn't know she wanted to get paid. I straight up told her in court, and my attorney asked, she's like, do you think if you would have asked him to pay you, he would not have paid you? And she's like, well, I don't know. I just was always embarrassed to ask. You didn't charge me. You go somewhere and someone doesn't charge you, you're not just going to automatically pay them.
Especially if they're family.
Exactly.
Like my sister will take my nephew to go babysit. Hey, can you watch Milo for a little while? And she'll be like, yeah. She's not going to be like, yeah, that's going to be like $50 an hour. Like, that's your mom, you know? And so you're thinking, or that's his grandma. And so you're thinking, okay, cool. I'm sure, like, if that was the case, I've never charged my sister to freaking watch Milo.
Yeah.
I lose money spending because he'll be like looking at me and I'm be like, you know what, we're gonna go get you some chicken nuggets. You know what I mean? Like, so I go get him like food and stuff like that.
And it's great, that stuff is great. My mom would kill to have my kids over at the house all the time.
Never even like. Of course, everybody's different, and my mom, she would never charge my sister to watch Milo. Like, she loves him to death. And that's how you think, and especially like if that was a situation, like say for some reason it didn't work out between them, and then Gio's mom is watching Milo. She's not gonna be like, yeah, well, you guys have to pay me like while you guys are going through this stuff. Like, no, that doesn't happen. So I understand your side.
And so they tacked that on 9 months of what they think I should have been paying the damn old lady, and so now I have to pay that back too. I'm like, how is that even fair at all? And
it sucks because there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? Like,
and they said, we're also giving them to her because these kids have more of an attachment to that family than yours. I'm like, that's her fault because she never let me take my kids to my family. What little they know my family, they love them to death. They're super attached to my older brother, and they love my mom. But I guess apparently that's not enough. I didn't bring enough of that to the table, I guess.
Which is crazy. Like, that's why like we had a conversation off air, and I kind of asked them, I'm like, because a lot of guys do feel like that Idaho favors women, and which is fine. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. Like, hey, like let them, but be fair about it.
Yeah, I don't think law should ever favor women or men. It should favor the truth. It should favor.
Yeah, like it should
liberty.
be fair. Like you should have at least had 50-50. Worst case scenario, 50-50. And especially with the proof that you brought to the table, you could tell like there's some issues going on with her. Like she's not like
They're trying to say I'm sort of a crazed sex addict. She was like, "Oh, well, he watches porn." I was like, "We watch porn together, fucker!" Like, stop fucking acting like we didn't.
Act like it's not like
they said, "Oh,
like
he had subscriptions to OnlyFans." You knew about that shit. We were watching that shit together. And then they asked me in court, like, "Can you explain to the court what OnlyFans is?" I was like, "I don't think I need to. Everybody knows what that shit is." And guess what? I'm not the only fan.
You should have been like, I know for a fact you subscribe to something. Like, they were like, hey, sir, like, settle down.
It was just a bunch of bullshit. And they try to make me seem like a pervert. They're like, we think it's inappropriate that your daughter sleep in the same bed as you. I was like, why?
Jesus Christ.
Why? I was like, you know what? There were multiple times where I tried to get Eileen into her own bed in her bedroom, and my ex-wife wasn't having it. So Eileen always slept with us in the same bed anyway. And now I told them, at the house, we have extra rooms, we have extra beds. With the situation, my kids don't want to leave my side. They don't even want to go in a separate bed in the same room. They want to sleep in the same bed with me. They want to feel me with them.
Well,
I don't think that's wrong at all.
Because they're separated for so long.
Exactly.
Like
so
now they only get a little bit of time with you. So why would she want?
Yeah.
And you know how girls are. Girls get really attached to the dad. Like I'm really close with my mom. Like, don't get me wrong, I love both my parents, but
you feel that bond with your mother.
And my sister gets it with my dad. You know what I mean? Like sometimes my dad does stuff for my sister. I'm like,
you ain't do that shit for me.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's his little girl. That's no matter what age you get.
Princess.
And so like I've always been attached to my mom, right? Like, cause that's how it is. Like, boys usually get attached to their mom, and then vice versa. Like girls get attached with their dad. So I understand that. Like,
That's why I tell my daughter, I'm like, there's gonna come a time when you feel weird or embarrassed or whatever, you just want your space, let me know when. I'm like, you can keep this room or you can go to the other room, whatever you want.
Yeah, because they grow up. Yeah. She's gonna grow out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, right now it's like my mom says, I walk into your guys' room at night and I'm like, I don't know how you sleep. Like you got both of them on top of you. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, she's like, they want to feel you there. And I'm like, it's just a situation.
Yeah, they're getting that probably like separation anxiety.
Yeah,
like they know that time's coming that they got to go back, and you don't know how she's getting treated over there. You know what I mean? Like she could say everything is great because the mom makes her say everything is great.
It doesn't mean it's
but
the case.
It could be like oh, don't bring up your dad around here. Like and you know how some people are. But again, I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not there. So,
we cannot even speculate, but
because then people come after me like, oh, you're just speculating. And I'm sure people are going to come, they're going to see some of these clips that I post and they're going to be like, because I had the conversation beforehand too. I was like, hey bro, I was like, just know that someone's going to see a clip and someone's going to send it to her. And all of a sudden, like if you guys come after me, totally fine. There's a seat here. Come and chat with me. He said it too on his podcast. Like, there's a seat there. Like, if you want to come.
We've been very frank about this on my show. That it's season 2. Where, like, you were on the first episode of season 2, actually. You remember?
I think, yeah.
And that's when I first said, this show's we're gonna kick off a new season, and it's gonna be all hell breaking loose because I'm not married anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it almost seemed like a story arc. Like all of season 2 was us talking about my divorce, and we ended the season the other night, and that's what it was saying, okay, this is what happened. We lost. But we're going to keep on going with the show. But I've been very frank about it. People ask me questions. I've said a lot of stuff on my show. They tried to use, well, unfortunately, the judge, I probably took it to heart. They used the show against me.
And it's going to happen. That's why, that's why I respected his decision when he said that let's wait, let's wait, because you know how people are. They'll take a clip that maybe you cut up or they cut up and then be like, look what he...
all out of context.
Like when you joke around, like I've made like sexual jokes with people. Like I've done stuff. We joke around. We're adults. We can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
But they'll be like, you see how he is? I told you. Look at this clip. He's over here talking all sexual or something like that. We're adults. We can talk about whatever we want. You know what I mean? Like
this show isn't going on PBS, so we can talk about the fuck.
It's like it even says like when I publish my stuff, it says for mature like
it has the E.
Yeah, like it's like
someone asked me that on Not Gonna Lie thing. One of the questions there, they asked me. The question was like, yeah, okay. Well, you said wait. The question was like, do you think it's appropriate for kids to watch the show. I think they said, "Would you let your daughters watch the show?" And I said, "Hell no, it's not a kid. It's not a show for kids." I was like, "It says right," and they followed it up with, "Should there be a warning on your show?" I said, "There is. Anything on YouTube, if it's not YouTube Kids, it means it's not for kids. You go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it has an E. It means explicit. Don't let your kids listen to that shit."
Yeah, and like you can make separate accounts for them.
Yeah,
Like the YouTube Kids, you can make YouTube Kids profile. Even Netflix has like their own kid thing. Like if you put parental like stuff on there, like controls, then guess what? They can't see it. It's just the lazy parents that don't put it.
they just use the same thing for everybody. And,
Yeah, they're just like, oh, here, use it.
and it's everybody's parenting style, you know. And like, I don't really hardly ever let them watch YouTube and stuff, but I know they watch a lot of that at their mom's house. So if they're watching my show, it's at their mom's house. It's not my fault.
It's probably because she's watching.
Yeah.
To see what Rod is gonna say this
And
week.
I've told my daughter, I was like, don't watch the show. And there's a few episodes that are clean and that are actually that I've been like, hey, you should watch this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then eventually she's gonna stumble upon it. You know, it's kind of hard to like control her.
She
life.
has her she has her favorite clips of the show. So the one where I talk about how I always either have the runs or I'm constipated, and she thinks that's the funniest thing.
So I mean, it sucks the situation that you had to go through. But that's why I'm glad that you're open to talk about it, just because some guys would probably be embarrassed to even say like oh yeah, I used to get beat by my girl, you know, because to them it's less.
They feel
manly.
like they're gonna be weak, yeah.
You know,
but the thing is, like, I know who I am. I know I could kick anybody's ass. So.
Yeah, and like
But the
I
fact
think
that
it takes
don't,
more discipline.
The manly part isn't the fact that I can kick their ass. The manly part is that I can step away and not kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, and especially like you're thinking of your daughter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It could have took that one time that you decided to just defend yourself. That could have just like, even though you did get the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
I
kind of feel like I've been feeling that. I'm like, man, if I had known, I would have lost him. I would have at least slapped her.
But it would have been worse because that one time, you did slap her, pictures. She would have went and got a whole photo shoot done, like, and
professionally.
Yeah, like
right
the day.
I'm like, I think that's Edgar's studio. What the fuck?
Be like, hey, no, I wouldn't.
You're like, that's a paying customer, homie.
The thing is, like, when I first, like, I didn't know you were married for the longest time, bro.
Yeah,
that's
another thing. We were never super close. A lot of people thought I was a single dad because they always see me around with my daughter and not her. So, so it was like life didn't really change that much in some aspects, quite honestly.
What are some of the things that that you learn, or you're gonna be aware of, like whenever you do start talking about or talking with somebody else, like maybe some red flags that you'll catch on soon? Because like me, if a girl becomes very jealous off the top, because my ex, she was jealous like to the point where she was like looking through my likes and going to the last straw for me on that was like she went through my likes, went to every girl's profile.
That's wild.
Went through like their photos, and she went back to like a picture this girl posted like a year ago. I don't know how she found it because this girl was posting all the time. A comment that I posted was fire emojis, and I was like, this was like a year ago before we even started talking. I was like, what? You have way too much time on your hand. I was like, that to me right there was like, all right,
that's the big like.
I was like, we're done.
We're
like you literally. Not only are you getting mad at me for something I posted when what single Edgar was doing, I was like, to find that, you were sitting there looking through everybody's stuff. You saw her. No, Edgar didn't comment. Oh, look, you like this one. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, so me is a jealousy is a big thing for me. Like, if I feel like you're jealous, not playing around, like you can tell when someone's playing around or someone's not playing around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and there's always gonna be there's some jealousy. I mean, there's no one's ever gonna be not jealous. I mean, but if it's, they're jealous about stuff that happened before you even met them, that's a big one. The degree of anger that their jealousy shows would matter also. Big one with me though is, Lily. Shout out to the homegirl Lily that we both know. She always says, she's like, I always wondered how like the funniest guy everybody knows ended up with like the biggest. Like the raunchiest, not funny person ever. Like she just never laughed at anything I said, never laughed at anything I did. I mean, I've been talking to this chick that I don't want to get my hopes up with, but being myself, I do have my hopes up. And she laughs at everything I say.
Yeah.
And she thinks everything I do is hilarious. But
I think it's also like, even you said you changed over like a month. She changed.
Yeah.
I think not knowing, we become more like, let me just hold on. Like, let's not move it too. Because there was this chick that I was like, oh, she's cool, she's good looking.
Yeah.
But she was like moving on.
I
like,
heard
super quick.
I've heard that should be like like after 90 days is when you start. You can usually only fake who you are for about 90 days.
Yeah.
Then the truth starts coming out.
Yeah, and then the
So
real
that's
person
got
starts
that
coming
90-day
out.
trial. Yeah.
Yeah, I always call it the 90-day trial. I remember I used that. Some girl was being petty with me, and I was petty right back. And I was like, it's not my fault. This was a 90-day trial. And she was like, fuck you, Edgar.
They should have laughed.
I was like,
at
well, you
that.
should stop being petty with me. Like, I'm super nice
And
and,
I mean,
respectful.
and the thing is, I've been very guilty of that in the past with other people. It's like, yeah, I give you my best version. So this time around, I'm giving everybody the worst version.
Yeah.
I get off the bat, I'm like, you know what? I'm short. I struggle with weight, and I have a fucking felony. Like, what else?
You want to leave?
You still good or what?
Yeah, because I'm the same way. You know how some guys, they'll try not to swear. They'll try to be like, I'm trying to do this. No, the first thing.
I've made that mistake. Like the first time they hear me say a cock joke, they're all surprised. So I'm like, look, cock jokes are my life. Like, let's just say cock jokes off the bat.
I swear off the top. I tell them how it is, how I joke around and stuff like that. Because if you don't like that, you're not gonna like me.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I am. I'm not like sitting here throwing F-bombs like crazy. Just.
But if it happens,
I swear,
like if it happens,
I say things.
Or the day you do say some dirty ass thing that you don't want them to be shocked.
Yeah, like
oh, well,
so that's why from the jump, I'm not gonna pretend, because I've done it before where you pretend to be, you don't want to swear, you want to do everything proper,
Trying to
you
be a
want to
little bit
impress
nicer.
them, and like you don't want to be like, but then you're just like, my ass is gonna be this, like that's what I'm gonna be. So that's why I always recommend, like, for people like to wait, just because they do bring their best version in the beginning and see how it is like after 90 days. Like, if they're still cool, if she's still laughing at your jokes, if they don't become.
And that's the thing. It's not so much she was laughing, but like my ex-wife never, like, not only did she not laugh, but she hated it. She thought it was stupid. She thought I'm stupid. It's like, well, I am, but
it's
part of my charm.
Yeah, and like it's you. You know what I mean? Like, she wants you.
Can be that's the thing. I want to be with someone that I can be myself with all the time.
Where you don't feel like you have to like have this like persona like when you're around them. So that's definitely. So I'm glad you realized that, and hopefully it works out with that, whoever, because I mean, I think it's just like taking your time to find somebody.
That's another big one. I'm like whether this one works or whether another one works, it's like it's gonna be time. It can't be 1 month to the next.
Yeah, and
life is long, man. We got a long life.
Well, it's long and it's also short at the same time. Like, I say it's short because there's like a lot of people. Because I'm sure now looking back at it, would you have wasted that much time with her?
No,
exactly.
That was a big chunk.
Those are time. That's time. I always say it in like in some of the videos is like, you can go buy another, like, a car, another house, another this, but there's no specials on time, bro. Yeah. Like, there's no like.
I mean, I even feel bad for her. I feel like she wastes a lot of her time. Maybe even worse for her than me, because I was mid-20s, she was early 20s, so she pretty much didn't have her 20s.
Yeah, seeing like you
and my 20s kicked ass, like what.
And like, you're not gonna get those back. Nope. It's not like, you know what, you fucked up here.
Yeah, try again.
And that's what I mean. Like, when people go through these relationships that they're not happy in, like, how long are you gonna wait? Because we have a long life, but if you actually look at it, it's kind of short. Yeah. The years just keep coming. You're just gonna get older, and then go and talk with the old people and ask them what they regret. Regret doing this. Oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have traveled.
Or wish I didn't do that.
I wish I would have started this. Yeah. I wish I would have left.
They regret what they didn't do a lot of times.
Exactly. So now when you have the options and things, like, now, would I settle for anything less than what I want? Hell no. Like, if you can't give me that, we good. I'm cool. I'm in no hurry. Yeah. I'd rather be single and focusing on my stuff. Cause
do you have any regrets, or are you one of those people that are like, if it wasn't for the mistakes I made, I wouldn't be who I am today? Is that it?
I think everyone's gonna, that's an easy cop out.
Everyone says that.
But there's like some relationships I wish I would have never got into.
Like, don't you wish somebody would just say, like, if it wasn't for the mistakes I made, I'd be a lot better person.
That too, because everyone always uses the cop out, like, because you already made the mistakes. It's not like you can go back and like change it. They're like, it made me the man I am. Yeah, it fucking sucked that I had to go through that, and now, like, of course it helped me now, but would I go through that again? Hell no. And so there's some things, but I always try to live like my life with no regrets. Meaning, like, if I like a girl, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I don't give a fuck if I get shut down and rejected. You're too ugly. Cool. At least I tried. You know. Or that's why I always say, like, just try. If there's a business you want to start, just do it. Like, for you, like, you want to do the podcast, I'm glad you're doing it, because later on when you get older, you'll be like, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have started a podcast. You know, I wonder if I would have posted TikToks. Like, I wonder how that would have went. You know what I mean? But then I posted TikToks. Yeah, at first it's weird talking about like some of the shit that I talk about. But then, like, once you see people are listening, people love the content. It sucks. My first account got fucking suspended, but this other one is.
Did you not get that back, or?
No, I actually finally got a message saying that it's permanently banned. And it's the stupidest reason that I got banned.
You just got to get over those awkwardness things too. Like, what I've been getting into more and more is doing the lives on Instagram. And at first it's weird because you're like,
you're just talking to yourself.
Someone
basically.
join. Yeah, it's like so. So now I don't even look at who's joining. I just start doing talking whatever I'm going to talk about, or sitting there with
and that's the way I'm
eating chips or some shit. You know?
And I knew, like, it sucked when my account got suspended first.
Yeah, but you knew you could come back easy.
Yeah, and I was just like, fuck. You know, like, it sucked when it got suspended, and like I didn't hear anything.
Why'd you get suspended, for talking about cocks and stuff?
No. So the knife company I used to work for, I got a lot of violations through them because you post a knife and they fucking give you a community guideline.
Yeah. Which it isn't. It's not.
That's where I
weapon.
got the majority of my community guideline violations. I only got a few from what I talk about now.
I've always seen, like, you know how I always see like people on TikTok where if they say sex, well, I think you do it. Like, they can't say sex, they have to say it. Or like if you spell it, they spell it different. Like,
yeah, because they flag you for that.
I never get the flag, but then I realize, but maybe it's because it's in Spanish. Like, we'll say some real dirty stuff, but maybe it's
sometimes
probably a little bit more difficult for them to catch it.
Yeah,
in Spanish.
Sometimes they don't catch it, because I remember on my other account, one of my biggest videos was totally fine, but then it got to a point where they're just like, they wanted to mute it because what I was talking about. This was like later on. I'm like, the fuck, like, why would you mute it now? Like.
Well, now that it's gotten a couple million views.
600,000 people like already saw it, like, you know, and like now you're trying to mute it.
Yeah.
But I knew what made me feel good is the people that were refollowing, searching for me again, and now this account is actually performing way better than the other one. It was.
It might have helped you out. Yeah. Sometimes when you restart it,
because now. Like, even when I go live, I still have like, but when I was going live on the other one, I would have anywhere from like 100 to 200 people jump in. And it's still the same, and I'm only like at 17,000 compared to, like, I was close to 80 before, but like the views are through the roof. Now I know what works, what doesn't work, what time to post, when to post,
well, it's
what
pretty
words
much
what words you can't say, because now I'll go back and re-edit. And I think the biggest thing that I did, I'm glad I did it at the time. I don't know why I was like, let me back up all my videos. You know what I mean? So every time I was making them. All the edited ones finally into a hard drive.
Okay.
Hard drive. So I have
that way you lost them, but you still have.
So
them.
I have a lot of like the only ones I don't have are like the super early ones, because at that time you didn't know what the fuck was going on. But after that, after I actually like started like putting a lot more effort into the videos, I started saving everything, because I was like, just in case. And so now, if you notice, people will be like, how come in some videos you have a neck tattoo and some you don't? And I was like, well, videos from a while back ago. You know, or like my unfinished neck tattoo.
From one of the necks, you're just completely different.
Yeah, so like I think that was a good thing for me.
I do that on purpose on my show with my facial hair, where it's like where we film. Sometimes we'll film like 3 in 1 week, and then like go like 2 weeks without filming. So like, but then I only release him once a week. So it's like 1 week I'll be clean shaven, and the next week I'll have a full beard.
That's funny.
But it's because I actually filmed them like 2 weeks apart. But
did that help during the time? Like, recording these episodes,
that's
doing
why
the podcast?
That's why I hit it so hard. Also, I mean, even like, because I'm living at my mom's house again, and that's
keeping yourself distracted with that, huh?
That's another thing too. Like, you know, I have a felon, and I live with my mother at the age of 36, ladies. But she said that though. She's like, I'm glad you're doing this show again. She's like, because before that, like when the week you don't have the girls, you're just sitting there all depressed in your room. I'm like, yeah, I was very fucked up.
Which is worse.
Yeah, so it's been something to do. It's been that's like my social life now. It's like,
yeah, because I remember when I asked you how you record, you said like when I have my daughters, we don't record.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was
but when-
1 week
when-
on, 1 week off.
But when I don't have them, that's when I get everything done. And it clearly shows how you are like towards your daughters.
Yeah.
Like you're like, my daughter time is like my daughter time. And then after that, let me keep myself distracted, because you could just sit there and be like, fuck, like this is sad. Like, why didn't I get my daughters? Like, and then just go down this black hole,
It would have been worse.
And
yeah.
it would have been
Hit the
worse.
bottle
But
and shit.
so this is why I always tell people like to distract themselves with
Something positive.
It doesn't. People are like, oh, it doesn't always have to be the gym. This is not. Yes, you started hitting the gym though. I saw that
Oh
you
yeah,
started
that's
hitting
not
the
because
gym.
of that though. That's
But
just because.
your distraction was the podcast.
I started hitting the gym because of the show. Because every episode, my gut was looking bigger.
No, but you know what I mean. Like you found a
Yeah.
distraction.
And that's the way it was too. It's like we would film 2 or 3 episodes of the week. I didn't have them. I would do as much work, get the clips ready, so that when I had my daughters, I'd shut off my computer, like put it away, not even look at it. The only thing I would worry, the clips were already, so I would just post them every day.
And so you get to the point where you think about it. You can't just go all day without thinking about like, damn, it sucks that my daughters aren't here. Like, I'm sure like when you see these girls go to like the pumpkin patches with their like parents and stuff like that, you're like, damn, I want to take them, but I don't get them until, the weekend or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it's getting a lot worse now.
So like, of course that stuff goes through your head, but you don't let it like just control you, because those thoughts are going to be there regardless. So why, but if the more you keep yourself distracted by, all right, let me just work. And then eventually like I'll get to the point, because like you go all day. Someone asked me like, do you ever think about being single? I was like, rarely, because like I'm like working, doing this, doing that. I'm not just like, fuck, man, I can't believe I'm single. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say that. Like, what thought would that even be like?
Because like sometimes I do see like couples and going like, oh, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna go do that, and you'd be like, damn, it'd be cool to have somebody to go and do stuff like that. Yeah. But then like
The thing when you said that, the thing that came to my mind is like you get into your house and be like, hey babe, I'm home. I'd be like, oh fuck, wait,
there's
no
no
one's there.
Yeah, see, and the best thing that I did after my last relationship was just focus on me, like, because I could have easily just jumped right back in, like out there and found somebody, but I was like, I am tired, like of putting in all this effort and time into somebody and it just not working out. So I was like, I'm just gonna do me, which is the best thing I've ever did, and it got me to the point where I'm just like, any like red flag, anything like that, like I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like I was good on single. Like I'm not gonna deal with this shit. Like
that's the thing. I was always good single. Like I've only had 3 actual girlfriends in my life. So
I've had 4.
So yeah, that's the thing. It's like I said, I was never looking, but I was never close to the idea, but I was never looking.
I've had 4, and then like some of them see my videos, and I had a live one time. I thought I blocked her. And she jumped into my live. Like I saw her name pop up. I was like,
wait,
that can't be. But like it kind of threw me off in the live. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna end this. Like I got shit to do. So I ended it and I typed in her name and I saw that, I don't know if she made a new account or something. And I was like, that's the same one that fucking jumped into my live. And I blocked her instantly. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in my live for? Yeah. And then I've had girls message me saying like, so I call it the cookie smelled saga. There was a girl that I hooked up with that it smelled down there, and like this
it
series
smelled like boiled eggs.
What did I say? Burnt hairs around a turd or something like that. I got it off Anchorman.
Oh,
and it's like when he puts on that Panther spray, he's like, it smells like burnt hairs around a turd or something like that. And so that's where I got that from. But that saga did like crazy numbers, and I'm like, oh shit, like people actually wanted to hear it, and like. Some guys won't talk about that. They're like, how would you still hook up with her? I was like, when you're at that point, you're just like,
oh, you're already there.
You're already there. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not gonna go down on this girl.
Yeah,
but like, I'm still gonna put it in her. But even then, like, I think it ruined the moment, because in my head, I just smelled. I was like, fuck, it smells disgusting. And I ended up like fake finished. Like I just left. Oh, I've done the spit thing. It's funny because some girls are like, guys fake. I was like, I have. I was like, because it's just not. I was just like, I'm not stimulated.
I've only done it once where I'm like, and I was using a condom, so I was like, I'm done.
you know, to be funny, like you do the extra stuff. You like tie it, just make sure you're like, throw it away, flush it down.
But
the
I don't
toilet.
want her to look at it. And I'll just take this with me.
Or you can do. It's funny that what Drake does. And do you know what Drake does? Like every time he finishes in a condom, he puts hot sauce in it.
Oh God.
But you know why, right?
Why, just to kill the sperms?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Well, that makes sense. But
he doesn't want no girl to be like, let me go find that
let me
condom real
dump
quick,
that
and
out.
then just
It
like,
makes sense. That's smart for a celebrity like that.
yeah, especially how big he
It's
is.
a lot of money.
Some people were giving him shit that, he does that, allegedly does that. But I was like, it's fucking
It's pretty
genius,
smart,
bro.
yeah.
Like, especially if he doesn't want random kids popping up, like, because
Yeah,
that
Nick
girl
Cannon should have done that shit.
Nick Cannon, he knows he's putting them in these freaking ladies, but is there anything you would tell these guys that are going through a similar situation? Would you just tell them to get out, or
Just get out. Just get out. If you're waiting for the best moment to do so, it's never going to come. Because as you saw, I thought I found the best moment and I still lost. So I might as well just have left this years ago. So just get the fuck out of it. Live your life.
And it's funny because that actually wasn't the best moment. It was actually a really bad moment.
Yeah.
You know, because like what happened.
The most convenient moment for myself
Yeah.
that I assumed it was, the moment that I thought I could get something out of it. And it didn't work out. So might as well just leave. As soon as some shit starts happening like that, where you're not being valued, whether you're a guy or a girl, as soon as your significant other, you know, and I mean everybody. This goes for everybody: guys, girls, gay guys, lesbians, everybody else on this wonderful gender spectrum that we now have. If your significant other is not treating you with the respect, common, easy, like lowest form of respect that you would need, just leave.
Yeah, and especially if it's getting to the point where you're getting abused. You know,
Any type of physicality,
because you know, shout out to Cassandra. She was on the podcast too.
Yeah, I remember.
Like when she talked about it.
I think that's the last time I was on your show.
Yeah, she showed.
She showed us that video.
Oh yeah, you were on that episode.
Yeah, I was on that
Yeah,
episode.
she showed us video. She showed us like all sorts. Like she had all this proof. She just didn't know when to leave because she was with the narcissist that made it seem like it was her fault that everything was happening, and it wasn't until like. She even said it that she thought if she would just behave and be everything this guy wanted, that it would all stop.
Yeah,
but
that's the way you feel. That's why I said that's what made me step away from my family so much, because she didn't like them. So it was like, well, you know, maybe she'll chill the fuck out. Maybe we'll be cool. Like I just won't bother going over to my house as much and stuff.
And that's crazy.
And it still didn't work. So
it's crazy that you think about it now. Be like, I can't believe I like cut off some of my family
and the closest friends for try to keep someone happy that wasn't happy. And that's, I mean,
because I would rather, like now I'm sure you're like, I need to be with somebody who's gonna enjoy being around my family because that's definitely
and my
not
friends
happening
too.
again.
Like she never wanted to hang out with any of my friends and stuff. Shortly after we split, that's when Lily opened her spot, like in February probably. And one night, I think I was finishing up a podcast and I hit her up. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm just over here at my new spot." She's like, "If you want to come by, kick it for a little bit." I was like, "All right." And we went there and she was like super tired because she was trying to get it together and I was going through my shit. We sat there in her teeth whitening chairs, like talked for a little bit, and then we just kind of sat there doing like not even talking for like 2 hours, man. And when we finally got up to leave, she's like, "I gotta get home." Like, and so I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And so we get up, she locks up her business. And she's like, "Man, I fucking miss doing that." And I was like, "Yeah, for real." She's like, "We used to do that at your place all the time. Like people, like my best friends like that would randomly show up and even if we had nothing to do, we would just enjoy each other's company." And I said, and she's like, "There's nothing wrong with having friends. And you just didn't have friends anymore." I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." And so we just got back to it. You know, you see who your real friends are too, because I mean, they all took me back. Like nothing happened. We're all the same friend circle again. My family's all good with me again.
And it sucks that, again, you learn, you're like, fuck, definitely not doing that again. But if anyone is going through some similar situation, like you said, man, girl, whatever you identify as,
the whole point of being in a relationship should be you're looking for happiness.
So
if you're not happy, what the fuck are you doing?
And love shouldn't hurt like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Love shouldn't hurt and it shouldn't leave marks. Unless it's you guys are being intimate, that's a whole different story.
Freaky fucking.
Unless you're like being freaky and like choking the shit out of her, because like I realized a lot of girls like to get choked and their hair pulled, like doing these TikToks, but that's just like joking, obviously like joking around. But if you're actually getting fucking abused, like there's always options to get out. Don't wait until like a moment like that. You know, obviously like you had to wait up until that moment where she told you, "Hey, you guys should separate. You know, maybe when she first put her hands on you. Now, like, I'm sure if you're talking to this girl and she puts her hands on you, you're gonna be like,
I'm done. I'm
cool,
done.
I'm out. And it sucks that you had to get to that point to now learn that you won't accept that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It seems like common knowledge, but so many people go through it.
You get blinded to it. That's I think that's what happens to a lot of people is they get blinded to certain situations, and it sucks. I've been blinded to things because you want it to work with that person. You want to see the best in everybody, but then later on you're like, fuck, why did I do that? You know, like, why did I wait so long? Why did I let that happen? Why did I cut friends off, family off, like let myself get beat I don't know if it was like weekly, but
every day.
Yeah.
No, it was and I mean, it's gonna be tough, especially if you've always been in a relationship, but you know, find something positive to do, keep going. For me, it wasn't that difficult because I mean, I lived by myself. I had my own apartment and I lived by myself for nearly 9 years. So it's not that much of a big deal to like not have someone around all the time. But when you start getting lonely, because you know sometimes the lonely sets in, just remember that you're not that lonely yet. You got plenty of other stuff to do, and you know, go out by yourself.
Yeah, and
go grab a bite.
Shit, you know,
go grab a bite. Go watch a movie. Go fucking
start something too. Like
Yeah.
start a podcast, start a YouTube channel. Yeah, it's not gonna do crazy numbers like in the beginning, but then the more consistent you are, you know,
Yeah.
and then you'll realize
I
if you
don't
love it or
even
not.
with my show, man. I don't even hardly look at the numbers. I feel like we don't. If I look at the numbers, they're probably not as high as maybe I would want them. Maybe I'm not sure, but I feel like the people that are there, like they're like faithful watchers. They know all about it. So shout out to all the people that watch my show too. Like they've helped a lot, and I've gotten a lot of messages. You know, positive stuff. It's funny on the show. I always anytime I get like a negative comment, we talk about it on the show because I thrive on that shit.
Yeah, and like you call it out.
Yeah, but the positive messages that I've gotten and people that are just backing me up all the time on this show, you know, it's like that has also helped a lot. So because like I said, I've talked about this on my show a lot.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks for coming and just chatting about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
like I said,
I told you from the get go, but I was like, yeah, well, let's get the whole story before we just start.
yeah, that and like I would feel bad if they're like, hey, like she took this
Yeah.
clip from your podcast. I would have been like, fuck, man.
Yeah. Like I said, they use my show against me, so I'm like,
And it was bound to happen. So imagine if you actually went into detail, then like they would have just used more, even though you still got the short end of the stick.
but it would have been worse. Yeah,
It would have been worse.
I mean, that was a tough day. That whole day in court of just hearing negative things about me, it's like it gets to you.
Yeah.
And then at the end, let me tell you, her brother-in-law, her sister's husband, testified against me.
Oh yeah, I remember you posting about that.
That
Like-
motherfucker, he went up and rated how I am as a father. It's like, fool, you left your son from the time he was 6 months until the time he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna tell me what kind of father I am. Fuck you.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, fuck you. Vete a la verga, puto. La tienes puesta. That's out for you. But and he lied on the stand. I told my attorney, and that's the only thing he asked him. He's like, at any time were you separated from your wife? He was separated for 5 years. He said no.
Yeah, and
Lying
it's
sack
funny
of
because
shit.
like I think you even said that they put on a front when they were in front of you, but then like all of a sudden like out of nowhere they completely change and then just like make up things about you.
It's all back. It was all backstabby. They were all, you know.
And I get it, they're looking out for her, but you
Yeah,
don't
but
have
you
to,
should have never pretended to be cool with me if it was just to backstab me. So
that and like blatantly lie about things. You know what I mean? Like
lying on the stand. The thing is, when you're on the stand, you're under oath.
I would have
you
been like-
swear on the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in God. But I told the truth. Ellos, según son bien creyentes, they believe all that shit, and they lied. So if there is a God, they're gonna get the short end of that stick, not me.
Yeah. But anyways, tell people where they can check out your podcast at, bro.
You can check it out at the Red Pod on TikTok and Instagram. You can go to Roddy TV on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. That's where all those podcasts are posted. We post every Tuesday, full episodes, clips every day on TikTok and Instagram. It's in Spanish. It's really good. I'm proud of the work all of us do out there. All my team, shout out to all of them. And like I said, I'm starting the English podcast. I think we're going with the name Roddy Radio. There's one episode out there already that I haven't really pushed. But, you know, we'll be posting all audio clips on Spotify, so look for Roddy Radio as well. And but other than that, man, we'll just keep working. I'm glad I was finally able to come on. I hope we can come back on. I hope to get you over and out there on season 3. No, yeah, it was fun, man. I haven't been here for a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while, you know.
And that's the thing. Oh, that's the last thing I want to address is that the beef between you and I is just we're just joking. We're actually still. I consider you a good friend, and I just think, you know, people don't see us attached at the hip, so they think we hate each other. But it's like he's busy as hell, I'm busy as hell.
Yeah.
So we try to get together every once in a while. But
yeah, and like I'm glad like when we can sit down and chat and like have a good time.
yeah.
Because I get it all the time. They're like, oh, like how come you're not doing like I rarely get to see like Julio and Weech and them. And they understand.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like, oh, well, fuck this guy. And they understand. Well, they see like what I'm doing. Like I'm just like always on go mode. Cause me, I'm just like, I want to get all the stuff that I have going on to a point where it's just like it can run on its own and it gives me more time, you know?
For sure.
But you have
I think that's everybody's goal. And
you have
we're
to
all working
sacrifice that in
towards
the beginning, you know, and like you have to sacrifice all this time in the beginning to, you know, to try to build something, and hopefully you build. Like that's always the goal.
Yeah.
But
like I said, I thrive on negativity. So every time somebody asks me on the podcast side of things, if I still fuck with you, if I hate you, I just always say I hate you. And you're a piece of shit.
yeah, it was funny when you posted that because somebody else, I forgot who, sent me a message like, "Oh, you don't get along with him." I was like, "Man, that fool's joking." I was like, I think you had brought it up on her podcast, M podcast,
okay.
Embracing My Marketing's podcast. You know, shout out to her.
She's like, "Are you guys for real?"
yeah, and you're like, "Yeah, fuck." Well, he's like, "Well, you kind of explain what you just said right now,"
Yeah.
but he's like, "We're gonna start an internet beef."
And before that, like someone asked on Instagram, like, "Ya no eres amigo de Edgar?" And I was like, "No, me cae gordo ese güey. Fuck that fool."
Yeah, and then it's funny because like I'm just like laughing at it, and I get it. Like,
and I think you would think they get that it was a joke because I tagged you in it, and then like you reshared it. It's like if they really hate each other, I think they'd be resharing each other's shit.
Yeah, like I would have just like not even reshared it, or I would have.
It's good stuff though. I love it.
Yeah, next time I'm gonna make a response video.
Yeah,
like a response video, but make it the most cheesiest response video. Like probably get like Julio behind me. You know, and like
there you go.
You know what I mean? Like get like a whole crew, or I'll go hire some like little people. I'll go hire some little people like behind. Be like, I got the crew, and they'll be like, where's it? Angle
like,
the camera down. They're all like
they're all
a
right
little army with me.
That's fucked up,
but anyways, I want to thank you again. Jumping on, having a conversation with us. Definitely go check out his podcast. I'm going to link his information down below wherever you're listening to it. If you're listening to or watching on YouTube or Spotify, definitely give us a 5-star thumbs up. It'll be in the description. Definitely check him out. Again, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Peace out.
Merry-go, stand for truth or fall for any old scenario. That's why I keep my circle smaller than a Cheerio. Cause it's the company you keep. Stay woke. Please don't get